Hey friends, welcome to Seeking Stories, where we unlock the secrets of your favorite books and movies. I'm doing a chapter by chapter, micro breakdown, analysis, few tidbits here and there of every single chapter. We'll see if I can get to the end of this. This has been kind of crazy. But it's been so much fun getting back into the world of Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth after not having read it in more than a decade. So today's chapter is The Bridge of Khazad-dum. For those who have not read the book before, this is a crazy chapter, a heart-wrenching chapter, because, spoiler alert, one of our favorite characters is lost. Gandalf the Grey, of course, has the epic stand against the Balrog of Morgoth, the demon of the ancient world, and has that standoff on the Bridge of Khazad-dum, and then at the last minute plummets after the Balrog. It's a crazy sequence because Aragorn warns Gandalf going into the Mines of Moria. If you go into the Mines of Moria, beware. And Aragorn and Gandalf, you can tell, have some, maybe not friendly debate, but a debate amongst the wise, what is the best course of action. And they both agree that going into the mines is the best, maybe not best, possibly only good option, but they do it anyway, because what else are they going to do at that point? It was a risk, and the risk, it paid off in the sense that Frodo and the rest of the company are able to escape, but at the loss of their leader. And that's one thing that Tolkien does really well in the story, especially as it progresses, is that it takes characters who need to grow, like Frodo, to even characters like Aragorn, and makes it so that they have to step into their own. Aragorn, for as great a leader as he is, can no longer completely, he can't rely on Gandalf at all at this point. Gandalf is no more. But what I want to talk about today is the Balrog, because we do have this crazy fire demon, and not a lot of details given as to who or what this is, other than the fact that he is a terror. So to understand the Balrog, we have to go back several thousand years to the creation of Middle-earth, where Iluvatar, he is the god of Middle-earth, kind of the overall spirit. He creates two types of mini-gods, what I'll call them. Mentioned this before. There's the higher gods called the Valar, and then the lower ones called the Maiar. And Iluvatar basically had his gods assist in the creation of the world and the creation of the different races, like elves and men, and so on. And the Maiar consisted of many different kind of characters that we see throughout all of Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth. They show up once in a while in different stories. You have Sauron, who is the chief antagonist of Lord of the Rings. He was a Maiar. He served Melkor, who was a Valar. He was basically the equivalent of Satan. Melkor fell and drew with him many followers, Sauron being one of them. The Balrogs, more than one, plural, were also Maiar. They were also these spirits, these fire spirits. And they kind of wreaked havoc upon Middle-earth from time to time throughout the first age of Middle-earth. Lord of the Rings happens in the third age of Middle-earth, to kind of give it some comparison. But at the time of the first age, very few could stand against Balrogs. Of the elves, only the most epic of the epic elves could barely stand against the Balrogs. But in the end, most of them did fall throughout the course of the battles of the first age, the crazy battles that kind of put the Lord of the Rings battles to shame in a way. These are the battles that happen in the Silmarillion. But one of the Balrogs escapes to under the Misty Mountains, and that is the Balrog we encounter in Lord of the Rings. And that Balrog just stayed there for thousands of years. He basically missed the entire Second Age, where the Rings of Power were forged, and Sauron first came to power, and then fell, and all that. And then even a good chunk of the Third Age as well. And there the Balrog was truly forgotten until the dwarves started delving in Moria and creating their dwarvish halls. And one of the dwarf kings, Durins Bane, encountered the Balrog and fell. And really, there's been rumors over the course of the years of Middle-earth, exactly what dwells under the mountains. And I think some, like the elves that we'll meet in coming chapters, probably have some sort of inclination that it might be a Balrog, but no one, to my understanding, really wants to come out and say this is exactly what it is, or for that matter, even go into the mines Moria to try to encounter said demon. But when Durins Bane fell, the Balrog became known as Durins Bane. Now, Bane is a used word a lot in Lord of the Rings for various things that are a source of, quote, harm or ruin, according to the Webster Merriman Dictionary. You'll have the ring referred to as Isildur's Bane, because the ring was Isildur's downfall. You'll have the Balrog referred to as Durins Bane because Durin fell to the Balrog. So Bane is just a word that we don't really use in our modern day vernacular. It kind of be fun to start reintroducing that because it adds some sort of like an epic quality to it, even though the actual meaning of it is pretty awful. But if you hear the word Bane throughout the story, Durin's Bane, Isildur's Bane, etc., know that that's what it means. It's a source of harm or ruin to the person or the thing that it's referring to. So that's a very quick history of the Balrog. Last thing I want to touch on is, as we've said before, Tolkien loves to juxtapose kind of the atmosphere of the world with the actual emotions of the characters. So you have the characters finally flee out of the Mines of Moria. The sun is golden, they have fresh air, real light for the first time in I think 3 days or so. And they just sit there and were overcome by grief and weep and come to terms with just happened. But the weather and the feeling and the atmosphere around them does not match their emotions. I think Tolkien does that to juxtapose the feelings of his characters to the world as a whole. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on that and the Balrog. I know I just barely scratched the surface of the Balrog, even though there isn't a whole lot of writings of Tolkien that really delve into it more. There's a lot of debate, for example, if he actually had wings or not, or if the fire that formed kind of wings around him were just kind of fire blasts that kind of spread out that looked like wings. So if you have any insight on all this, I'd love to hear it. Drop in the comments below, and I will see you soon for the next chapter.